Minute, please. Just sorry to interrupt you. Juste pour dire, parce que là, il ne faut pas qu'on soit comme des personnes qui ne comprennent rien à ce qu'on est en train de dire. Si jamais vous ne comprenez pas, parce que là, ça va être une session essentiellement en anglais. On l'a dit tout à l'heure, il y a près de 150 appareils. Si vous n'êtes pas confortable dans la langue anglaise qu'elle parle, vous pouvez prendre des appareils et vous pouvez avoir la traduction. D'accord? C'était vrai pour tout à l'heure en français, en anglais. C'est vrai maintenant pour le français également. D'accord? Vous pouvez prendre donc des appareils là-bas pour pouvoir écouter parce que ce sera essentiellement en anglais. Voilà, donc vous pouvez le faire s'il vous plaît. Merci.
Okay, thank you everyone. If you'd like to get the translation, just like my brother here has said in French, kindly go to get the earpiece and you get your translation. So we just take 1 or 2 minutes to do that. And as we do that, should we continue the rap? So if you're red, yellow, black, or white, everybody's a star in Toastmasters. I should go ahead. Okay. Hello, Toastmasters. Thank you for being here. We are going to take a Toastmaster break. Hello, everyone. Toastmaster. We are going to take a Toastmaster break. Figure start to tap. Feet start to tap. We're listening to the Toastmaster rap. Listen, friends. Learn the air because Toastmaster is the way to go. I'm not talking junk. I'm not talking junk. But I've got a message to make you laugh. If you're red, yellow, black, or white, from Gabon, from Cote d'Ivoire, from Burkina Faso, from Nigeria, from Niger, Congo, Brazzaville, from Cameroon, from Mali. Everybody's a star in Toastmaster. So throw your hands in the air and say, Toastmaster! So very soon, we are going to release our album, our Toastmasters album. So are we done with the earpiece? Should we go ahead now? We or no?
Yeah, I think you can go ahead.
We.
Yes.
Merci. So as we all know, leadership without influence is authority without impact. So today we are going to have a great leader, trusted, tried and tested, come up here to tell us about the art of persuasion. Persuasion is not about manipulation. It's about building connections. It's about building trust and clarity. I'm delighted to introduce to us a great leader whose Toastmasters journey reflects excellence, discipline, and influence. He's a distinguished Toastmaster, a mentor, trainer, and communication expert whose impact spans clubs, areas, divisions, and even districts. He's a distinguished executive coach, management trainer, and organizational development consultant with a proven track record of equipping individuals and teams with practical tools for leadership, communication, and performance optimization. He is the founder of Lead Consultants at Blissway Resources, a management training and executive coaching firm dedicated to developing leaders and enhancing workplace culture and delivering transformational learning across Africa. He's a certified management development practitioner, a member of the Nigerian Council for Management Development, JCI, Nigerian ambassador, with over a decade of experience working with entrepreneurs, corporate executives, and mid-level managers. He has facilitated impactful sessions across sectors, including pharmaceuticals, finance, education, and the public service. Is particularly skilled in designing and delivering customized training in leadership development, strategic communication, emotional intelligence, team performance, and business negotiation. He is a certified coach, an alumnus of several leadership development programs. His client-centered approach, cultural sensitivity, and real-world insights makes him a sought-after facilitator for organizations seeking to drive change and foster continuous improvements. He's the administration manager of Division C, District 130. Please join me in welcoming the able, amiable, indefatigable, distinguished Toastmaster, Elvis Egena.
The district director, fellow distinguished Toastmasters, Toastmasters and guests. Do we have guests here? Do we have guests? Okay, because we're used to saying Toastmasters and guests in our meetings. So it's just like default programming for me now. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. While we wait for the screen to come down, I have a question. As an organization that don't pay people to do what they do, how do we succeed in making people take the actions necessary for us to continuously grow every time? Especially because we don't use money. Right now, well, a lot of our clubs are celebrating SMEDI Distinguished, and that's a lot of work from people that have life outside Toastmasters. Most of us here have serious 9-to-5 jobs. We run several businesses, but we still find time to do the needful every time. We show up for our club meetings 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. Some of us here go to club meetings almost every day. So how do we get people to do this every time without feeling tired, without complaint? That's going to be the basis for our conversation this afternoon. And like I said, this is going to be a conversation because we are all part of this. Some of the things I'm going to be sharing may be things you already know. Some could be a new perspective to consider. And at the end of the day, it's for us to come to a collective understanding about how persuasion works. Because the work we have going forward is going to depend majorly on this. We're already doing this to an extent. How many of us have spoken to someone that joined Toastmasters after listening to you before? Yes. So to an extent, we already evolved in persuasion. But the reason why we're bringing this today is there a systematic way to build this so that the result can be consistent, so that it can be duplicatable every time? If you add 1 + 1, it should give you 2. Right? So how do we go about making persuasion into a system so that it's not going to be a lock? Maybe you try today, it works. You try the other time, it doesn't work, and you're guessing. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. I'm not sure. Is this clear enough? How about now? Is this better? All right. Thank you so much. All right. The art of persuasion. This is a brief about me. I wouldn't want to go through this again because I've been properly introduced, right? Now, we were talking about persuasion. The perspective I would like us to look at it from today is on 3 parts. Number 1, persuasion is rooted in ethical influence, rooted in trust. So we're not talking about manipulation here. Because there's a thin line between persuasion and manipulation. And the thin line is about the intention of the person. As people that are involved in non-governmental organizations, one of the things I would like us to consider as we're discussing this subject of persuasion is that this type of persuasion is rooted in ethical influence and trust. So do people trust you as a person? Can people do things because you are the one involved? Not because of the many English you're speaking or French as the case may be, but because they trust your person. But because you are the one. So that's one of the aspects of persuasion we're talking about today. The second one is respect for audience's freedom of choice. And that goes back to re-emphasize what I mentioned earlier, that this is not manipulation. Now, in manipulation, you don't give people a chance to think. You give them the thought you want them to have. But in persuasion, you respect their freedom to have their own choice. So you're presenting different alternatives for them to make a choice. So that's the type of persuasion we're talking about here today. The one that have respect for audience's freedom of choice. So even when they don't agree with you, you're not angry. What you're thinking about is how best can I win them over to my own way of thinking, willingly. Then the third part is the type that creates a win-win scenario where ideas serve the collective good of the community. So in situations where after your ideas have been adopted, what's the result? So it's not just that you've sold this idea, people have bought into it. The result determines whether the intentions are right in the first place or not. The type of persuasion we're going to be considering this afternoon is the one that serves the collective good of all Toastmasters or of all the people that are involved in the first place. Are we good? Now, this is not about changing who you are. For you that is going to be the initiator of this type of persuasion, it's not about changing who you are. Maintaining who you are is even part of the ingredient that will make people believe you. So we're not talking about you changing who you are, but amplifying your voice with purpose, with authenticity, and cultural resonance. We all here are uniquely gifted in several ways. There's a way you can talk to someone, and because you're the one that said what you said, they will believe you. So we're not talking about changing. We're not talking about modifying who you are or the traits you already have, but how best can we amplify your voice? How best can we make your voice resonate with the people that listens to you? I'm so happy because on this platform we have at least 12 countries represented here. How best do we sell a message that resonates with everybody from every country? Right. So this type of persuasion talks about amplifying you, maintaining your authenticity. That you don't have to change to become who you are not. You don't have to start speaking or using accents that's not original to who you are. But being yourself in a way that amplifies who you are. Next, there are three major things that if we put into consideration, it aids us in our quest to be more persuasive leaders. And these three factors are, one, ethos. This is a Greek word from where we get ethics. And when we're talking about ethos, we're looking at the credibility and the character of the person talking. It's easy to say things. But then, just like one of the panelists said earlier, distinguished Toastmaster Gimba, the youth of Africa right now are watching other people. Beyond what you're saying, who are you? How do you act? When the spotlight is not on you, who are you at that point? Because that's the question of character. That's what you cannot form for long. You know, as human beings, we can't lie to ourselves for a very long time. Right? How many of us believe that you can't be deceived for a very long time? Yes. Because as human beings, we know truth. No matter how you try to fake the truth, it will eventually come out. So one is ethos, credibility and character. Why should people trust you? Thank you so much, Madam Timer. I was told that I have 40 minutes for this. I don't know how much I have now. Is it still 40 minutes, just to be sure? Or has it been reduced? Okay. All right. So you that wants to initiate persuasion, the first question you want to ask is, why should people trust you? You're here. You're talking. You sound nice. But why should I trust you? Now, that is one of the reasons why our organization is very unique. Because it gives you a chance to deliberately build credibility from scratch. So let's look at an imaginary journey of a Toastmaster. You come in as a guest. Maybe you participate in table topics. You like the environment. Eventually you sign up. What happens next? You come to a club meeting. You give a speech. After doing that for a while, a circle comes for leadership. You get elected as sergeant at arms, or as secretary, or as treasurer, as the case may be. What is happening is people are beginning to pay attention to you. Because the moment you become a leader, the spotlight deliberately starts shifting on you. So what you do, how do you do it? How do you relate with people? What do you do when you are under duress? When you're angry, how do you react? All that begins to play out, and people are watching. Now, from the club officer role, you move to area director. Now, as a club officer, you've performed very well. And our organization is one of the few organizations that reward performance quickly. Now we're talking about smelly distinguished. I guarantee you, all the presidents here that led their club to become smelly distinguished, we are going to have area directors from them. Why? They've demonstrated that they can be trusted. So if we can trust you at your club level, we also mean that we can trust you with other clubs in addition to yours. So that's one way to build credibility. So even in your organization, that little task they are giving you, how are you handling it? Do you produce results or do you complain? Do you find fault in everything or do you find solution in everything? So one of the things that builds credibility is your own ethics. And that asks the question of why we should trust you. Number 2 is pathos. And this is the connection we have with you as a person. When your name is mentioned, what comes to people's mind? Is it good memories or bad memories? Now, we've been here together. Some of us came in yesterday. Others have been here much more earlier. The people you've related with so far, you might likely meet them again in another district conference or in another event somewhere across the world. What would make you relate with them subsequently is the experience you've shared so far. So if I greeted you with a warm smile, for example, when you remember my name, you're going to remember the warm smile. But if I make you feel bad, when you remember me, you're going to remember the feeling of how I made you feel. So that emotional connection, every time that you're interacting with people, remember, you're living a memory. The question is it the type of memory you want to be remembered for, or is it not? And that's what ethos talks about here. How do you make people feel? Because that's what they're going to remember when you're not going to be there. Then lastly is logos. How logical is your argument? How does it make sense? Do I have to overthink before I understand what you're saying? Or can I still just do it without thinking too much? If you notice, the great leaders of the world are not people that make things very complicated. They are the people that, if you listen to them, even if it's for 2 minutes, you know exactly what they are saying. How many of us remember, I have a dream? Exactly. We may not remember the rest of the speech, but remember, I have a dream. Why? Because it's simple. It's logical. It makes sense at the time, and it has been making sense transitionally since then till now. So as a leader that wishes to persuade, how logical is your idea? How logical is the structure of your passing of the message? Now, next, what are the ways we can establish credibility? These are some of it. Be authentic. Share authentic storytelling. And this is very important because we are in an organization where we can even create stories to pass a message. In the creation of stories that are not real, can you make it realistic? I know how many of us remember third taste contests? How many of us remember? Yes. I know in those kind of contests we are encouraged to think wild, create stories that maybe are unbelievable. But the reality is, in as much as we do that during contests, when you get into the world, be realistic as possible. That's one of the ways we establish credibility almost immediately. Because when you're talking, I can remember that this is something that's happened to me or to someone that I know before and all of that. It works, right? Number 2, cultural humility. And number 3, because of our time, is visible expertise. So you're coming to me as an area director and you're following up on me to make sure I have president distinguished. What did you do when you were president? That would be the first question they will ask. Do you know what it feels like to have your club on the dashboard having 2/10 when it is April? Have you survived that before? Now, if you have survived that and you are encouraging someone in that situation, they can relate. The message will come out more authentic because they know that, oh, he understands me or she understands me. So credibility. Are you competent in what you're doing? So before you come to me to say, oh, follow me, are you what following? Have you demonstrated expertise in your chosen area? Right? That's one of the ways you establish credibility. Number 2, you connect through shared values. A lot of times, we have people that attempt to influence us with different ideas, with different thinking. The question that most people ask subconsciously is, how does this connect to me? What do we have in common? Here we said our core values here are what? What is Toastmasters' core values? 1, integrity, service. Exactly. So, with this being said, if you're going to influence Toastmasters that have come to believe in these core values, and you are not excellent, you're not service-oriented, you don't respect people, how do you think you will fare? And this is not in words, but in action. So, shared value. What are the values that the people you're talking to believe in? Some may believe in community. So structure your idea around community because that's what they can relate with. Others believe in pursuit, for example, becoming better. So shared values. Now, when talking about structuring with reason and relevance, you have, first of all, have to anchor your idea in local evidence. So as you're bringing the idea, look at examples within the context of the people that are listening to you. Because that makes it easy for them to relate with the idea you're trying to bring. Are we following? Now, what are some of the principles of persuasion because of our time? Number 1 is reciprocity. So before you ask something of me, have you given me something? Before you tell me I should come and speak, have you helped me prepare my speech? And this speaks a lot to some of us that are older Toastmasters in the house. The attitude with which we relate with the younger people. When they come to you as new Toastmasters, you know, Toastmasters can be very overwhelming at the beginning. There are so many things you need to learn quickly and do almost immediately. So when they are asking some of those questions that may not make sense to you now as an older Toastmasters, how do you handle it? When someone keeps sending almost the same thing that you've corrected back to you, how do you go about answering that? All that speaks to reciprocity. So when you've helped me long enough and you're asking something of me, it is, I feel a social obligation to you to reciprocate. Why? Because you've given me value. We only respond to value given. So when you try to make people do things without giving them anything before that, it won't work, at least not for long. That's where manipulation comes in. So you want something without giving anything in return. And it's very simple. At least, can you show interest in someone's progress genuinely with no strings attached? Not because you're president or the VPE, but because you want to see the person grow. Not because you're the ERA director. So when you're encouraging someone, what's the reason for the encouragement? Is it for their benefit or because you want to meet DCP goals? So these are some of the conversations. Number 2, scarcity. You can highlight limitations, not force or urgency. What happens if they don't buy into the idea you're trying to bring? What's the implication? If you don't join Toastmasters now, what happens to you in the next few years? Now, someone said earlier that she's happy to be here because this organization helps people to have confidence to speak publicly. Now, if you don't start developing that, now what happens to you when in the next few years? These are some of the things that you can use to influence people genuinely without manipulating them. Making them see the not so good implication of them not taking the actions needed right now. Are we following? The next one is commitment and consistency. Start with small agreements that build momentum. So you don't come and meet a new Toastmaster and say, oh, you need to give 10 speeches in 1 month. That doesn't make sense. But how about show up in the next meeting and you follow up to make sure the person comes. From there, you can move to participate in table topics, which is 1 to 2 minutes. While you are doing that, you're working behind the scene to make them understand pathways, how to record their speeches. how to access the evaluation form, how to, several things. Gradual incremental progress. Now, what that means is the moment they start seeing this little result, they'll be encouraged to follow you more. Because if you have helped me to know how to get my evaluation form, I can trust you to help me evaluate my speech. But when you just come straight and you're giving orders, you're giving directives without these layers of trust that you've built over time, it would not work. Then lastly, unity. Meaning we are to build shared identity and common purpose. In Toastmasters, we believe in self-development. So if I am growing, I am becoming a DTM, and all the people around me, no one is growing, it shows you're not growing. So shared growth means as I'm growing, you are growing. I am president today. Next year, you're president or your VPE or your area officer or your district officer. So everybody grows at the same time. And these are the foundations that sustains a community over a long period of time. You can't hide this. It doesn't matter whether you come to give me a wonderful speech about why growth is necessary and all. If I look at the community, I can tell whether you really believe in what you're saying or you're just telling me because that's what you want to say. Now, in conclusion, because of our time, so that we can take questions as well, your voice carries wisdom of generations and the power to shape the future. So use it wisely. Not in the way to manipulate people, but in a way to influence them in the right direction. So persuasion is not about making people do what they don't want to do, but giving them reasons why they need to take the action for their own benefit and the collective benefit of the community. Thank you so much. At this point, I'd like to take questions.
Applaudissez. Merci. Thank you very much, DTM Elvis Egena. Thank you for so many nuggets. I hope that we have written down our questions. It's time for question and answers. And as we prepare that, I just want Toastmaster Elvis quickly to take one question as we prepare, as the audience prepares to ask their own question. And that is, you talked about personal stories, you talked about building connections, and I especially love the fact that you gave a lot of Toastmasters examples. That's examples that are relatable, examples that we can learn from, examples that we can go back to our various clubs with and practice. But I want you to share with the audience a personal story that you used in your work as a leader to build persuasion. I believe that the audience would like to have a sneak into that.
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. If I heard you correctly, you're asking me to give a personal story that I used to build persuasion as a leader?
Yes, please.
I wouldn't call it to build persuasion. For me, it's about the way I live. For example, when I meet a new Toastmaster or a new client, what's on my head is, how can I make or assist this person to become better tomorrow? By the virtue of our interaction, how can this person's life get better? So, as I naturally go that route, I observe that people are influenced by default. Because the intention, at some point they'll get to see it, that I am here to help you, help make you better, irrespective of titles or position. So I think that's one of the ways that have worked for me so far, being genuine in your reason for interacting with people. So I would stop there for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. Merci. So time for questions. Do we have questions? Please come and ask a question. The microphone. Okay. Your name and a question.
Thank you, the DTM Elvis. I'm Moïse Sodokin, Area Director 2 from Benin. I have a tough question. in this area in this period of time where, particularly in Toastmasters, we are really running up behind distinguished Smiley. And it's really tough to see like the difference between the persuasion, like the art to persuade the person who is in front of you, to make the difference between this and the influence. So my question to you is, how can we continue to influence and using the art of persuasion, but always keep the clarity of why we are doing Toastmasters, which is basically leadership and experience. And the fact is today we are used to forget that and we focus so much in performance. So my question is, how can we still use the art of persuasion, but always keep the clarity of why up to make sure we achieve why we are doing Toastmaster with leadership and experience? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Moise. If I get you clearly, what you ask is, how do we keep our eyes focused on the why while we're also balancing that with performance? Now, for me, performance is a result. Especially because you're leading people that you're not paying. You have to find a way to influence them. So for me, how you go about doing that is remain consistent with your reason for doing what you do. If your people can see that you are genuinely interested in them becoming better, they will perform. This may, for example, in a new Toastmasters year, it starts from July 1st and it ends June 30th. You may even use the first 6 months making your people understand your vision. The moment they know that they can trust you and they know why you are doing what you are doing, the performance will come. This CP goal is one of the easiest things to achieve if you have the right people. So to answer that question, I would say, remain consistent in your why. Let them know that you are doing that for their good. The moment they get that understanding, you don't need a lot of follow-up anymore. I have that personal example as a president of a club. My club at the time I became president was not doing too well. We only had, I think, 5 or 6 members on the dashboard by July 1st. Then, by the end of June 30th, the next year, we were president distinguished. Why? Because they got to see the reason. There were a lot of challenges along the way. As at December, we were 4/10. But between January and June, we became 10/10. So I would say, remain consistent. Let people know why you are doing what you are doing. The moment they understand that, performance will follow. Thank you so much.
Just one more question. Oh, we have 2, so let it be very brief. This gentleman, we have 3. Let's have the lady first. Let's balance it. Then we can have 2 quick because our time is spent. Lady? Okay. Lady first then. You can have the gentleman.
Thank you so much for this wonderful speech. My question is just simple. Sometimes, talking about persuasion, you come across people you need to persuade for a purpose. They are not ready even to listen to you first. They don't know or they don't understand. They don't know, but they don't know that they don't know.
Very true.
What do you do for this kind of person? They wouldn't even listen to you. Sometimes they are elders. People that maybe are that have more title than you have, and so on and so forth. But you have to do it. What do you do? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, please, let's put our hands together for her. One is very important because it's one of the things that, for example, let me give you an instance. There were certain people I followed up on as club president. They just joined last year. Meaning, times and season happens to every human being. So, the time you may be selling the idea to them may not be appropriate time for them. The moment they need you, they will find you. How many of us here, as Toastmasters, have had people you've invited for meetings that stop coming? Then all of a sudden, they're the one calling you. What is that your meeting again? Why? Because there's a need for the thing you discuss with them now. So in situations where you're trying to persuade someone and they are not even aware that they don't know what you're saying, leave them, give them time. As they mature, as they experience, they will get to realize that this thing is important. And when they will realize, they will remember you and they'll be the one to follow up on you. So just give them time. That's what I would say.
Thank you very
so
much. Give them time. That gentleman in white and the one in suits, we will not be able to take more questions. Somebody's just raising up their hands.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, GTM Elvis. So my question is, I know I served as president at some point, and one of the tools we would use to get people to join our club would be to bring them as guests to attend our meetings over time so that they see how the meetings go and then they decide. But over time, we had this issue, particularly as a club. A lot of our members were leaving the country, and it became difficult for us to have those quality meetings that would convince guests to transition to members. So my question is, as a leader, if you find yourself in that kind of space, how are you able to manage the scenario to ensure that you are still able to put out quality meetings, even with limited manpower, and then still convince guests to become registered members?
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Wede. I'm going to answer that with a scenario that happened to me as club president. At the time that I was president, there was a day we had a meeting. Everything had been planned. Every role assigned. Now, my club members and officers started calling me around 3:30 for a meeting of 5:30 to start cancelling. Oh, I'm head up at work. Oh, I'm not in town. And these were people that were talking constantly for the past 2 weeks. Guess what? That day, none of them showed up from my club. But we had 30 people in the meeting. We gave speeches, every segment of the Toastmasters meetings were covered, but not with members of my club. What did I do? I reached out to the larger community. And that is what I would say. Leverage the larger community that we have. But there's a clause. Before you ask them to come and play a role, have you done one for them? That is just it. All the people that I've invited were people that have been for them. So when it was my turn, it was easy for them to come for me. So if that is your situation, start by volunteering yourself to other clubs. Then they will come for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's have the gentleman in the jacket at the back. He has his hand raised. Thank you for the wealth of wisdom.
Alors,
No more questions
Merci.
after this, okay.
bon, moi je ne sais pas, je ne m'exprime pas en anglais, je vais parler en français. Ok. Moi, j'aimerais aller un peu dans le sens contraire.
Hold on, please.
Please hold on.
J'aimerais poser la question au sens contraire. C'est-à-dire aujourd'hui, nous avons les personnes qui ont l'art de persuader. Ils ont la persuasion dans leur sang. C'est inné en eux. C'est comme un don. Donc, ils utilisent la persuasion pour persuader et perdre les autres. Que faire pour ce genre de personnes? Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez leur dire? Parce qu'aujourd'hui,
3, 2, 1, go. OK, parfait. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, DTM Elvis. No, it's okay. I think he used flash. It's fine. It's fine. Oui. OK. Écoutez, chers amis, on est arrivé pratiquement au terme de cette belle journée qui a été très riche. Donc, on va simplement se séparer d'un moment à l'autre. Mais on va se séparer autour d'un repas. On va se séparer autour de quelque chose à manger. Je pense que vous avez traîné jusqu'à maintenant 15h30 pratiquement. Donc, on a une petite annonce à faire. Do you have an announcement to do quickly?
Yes, we have an announcement. But before then, I want to say thank you everyone for being patient and staying through. Please, a round of applause for yourselves.
Applaudissez pour vous-même, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you.
Très attentif.
And thank